Oh, good.
Right, I'm here. You're not on camera at the moment.
Let me get that for you. Oops, that's the wrong one. I need to switch seats. Okay, there you go. Nope, still not yet. What's going on here? Yes, start virtual camera. There we go. Is that not working? It works.
Yeah, that's working. Everything's going
Good.
great. Okay, so my name's David Stanley. I'm hosting this. Um, I normally run the spiritual journey on YouTube. Something that started in 2019 and has continued for well until 2023. And now we're in a pause stage. Yes. Um, but the spiritual journey was what I was really interested in. And I contacted Jeran about a year ago and I asked if, because I'd been following Jeran for some time, um, if he could elaborate on his spiritual beliefs, what he thinks about himself and the creator and the world. Um, and he said, well, we've probably got similar beliefs, and that's probably very true. Yes. But over to you, Jeran, if you'd like to just introduce yourself, the man who went to Antarctica and saw a 24-hour sun. Yes.
Yep, name's Jeran Campanella. I go to, you can find me on YouTube under Jeranism, Jeranism. And that's basically it. I've been doing this for 10 years, a long time, and quickly became the most hated person in the truth movement. So that's fun.
Well, I've got to say thank you not only for being here, but for sending me this drive key of all your exploits in Antarctica.
Good. I
Yes.
hope you liked it.
Well, I think one day this will be worth a considerable amount of money. So it's
Cool.
something I will treasure. Yes.
Glad you got one. Thank you for supporting that.
Thank you for going. Yeah, it was an incredible trip, and I enjoyed every moment that you went live. Yes.
Okay.
And as we chatted on Telegram beforehand, I was quite open to the possibility that flat Earth was possible with a 24-hour sun, but you weren't. Yes. And that was your position. And I said, well, maybe you're right. Yeah. Um, because maybe you
Sure.
are. Now, we do have one thing in common, yes, and that's the 99%, I believe. Um, I'm 99% convinced the Earth is flat, and that leaves 1% to say, well, it's 100% a spiritual realm, and really we can't know everything about it, but we can certainly explore it. Um, and I believe that you said in a stream about a month ago that you were 99% a glober and 1% a flat earther. Is that still true?
Correct. Yes. I think you should leave that 1% just in case new evidence were to arrive or be brought to surface. But yeah, overall at this point, and I think anybody who did what I did, and I don't even think you need to go to Antarctica. I think if you went to Punta Arenas, you would realize that we were wrong about the shape of the Earth.
Right. Well, that's your position, and I do appreciate your position. I do have an opposing position, but I won't go into that to stress you. Yes. I'm just so glad that you went there and you got back safely, and you're back with your wife, and everything's going well for you.
Everything's great.
Yes. But like I said, could you elaborate on your spiritual position? What you think of the world and the creator? You did speak about this once, and it was so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's much different than the religions have given us. I believe that religion is man-made. which we know, right? It's a
Yeah.
collection of beliefs, and then it usually is used to exploit people or to take money from them or in some way uh, rule them. So I mean, this goes back to the thousands of years ago, where the priest class was kind of the Lord class. They could kind of boss around whoever they wanted. So anyway, um, I mean, that's a big question of where you want me to go with that. I do believe there's a creator. I don't think there's anything that could sway my opinion of that. Things don't come out of nowhere and out of nothing, and they don't just randomly appear after explosions, right? So I believe that there is a creator, there is a mind behind all of this. But I've got a different opinion based on what I was told and grew up with certain beliefs. And just looking at them rationally, I kind of constructed my own opinion of how I believe that the divine would work and how the divine wouldn't work, and things that I think are silly that people have placed on the creator, and things that I think are absolutely bonkers that I think that they claim that the creator made. So you have the Bible, who it says in the Bible, "Let God be true and every man be a liar," and then we're supposed to believe that God left the Bible with man, which makes no sense. Just got done telling us that every man's a liar. You wouldn't leave your book with man because you would know that man would corrupt it, which is exactly what has happened. So to believe the Bible as a divine oracle or anything like that, I believe is categorically foolish. There is no divine work on the earth there other than us, and God certainly wouldn't write down words in a book because they would have to be translated, they would have to be mistranslated, they would have to be conveyed across bodies of water, you name it. There's a lot of problems with leaving uh, your word in book form. And we've already seen this where one group of people can take a certain verse and say it means something, and another group can take the same verse and make it mean something else. And there would be no interpretation of that correct unless you trusted man. So again, you're falling back on trusting man, which we know is corrupt and from the start. So for me, it's just easy to kind of come up with my own version of everything in my head. People may not like that because they like structure, they like dogma, they like understanding what they believe. And for me, I'm not going to listen to somebody else's belief who I know has never talked to God or gotten direct downloads from him. So for me, that's just an easier way of approaching everything. And I still believe in being a good person. And I still believe Christianity is a great way to upbring your children. I believe in conservative values, traditional values, as far as a husband and wife and that kind of thing. So I am kind of in line with Christianity, but I just draw the line at my sins were forgiven because Jesus died, or that kind of thing. So I mean, is that what you're asking, or are you asking something further beyond that?
Um, that's very clear what you said.
Okay.
We, you said that we have similar beliefs. Well, at about 9 years old, I sort of stepped away from the church myself
Hmm.
and decided to look at the world um, actually through the eyes of Jesus and the Creator. And I stepped away from the church and the Bible. Well, I kind of thought, well, everything in the Bible is important. Yes.
Hmm.
And I did my first service in school, like a pastor, yes, in front of the school, when I was 12 years old. And I read Genesis, that God separated the waters from the waters and everything. And that was my first service. I did many, many more after that.
Hmm.
But by the time I was 23, 24, I would say to people, look, you've got to step out of the Bible. You know the Bible. Now put it behind you and get on with your life. Yes. Don't live your life by the Bible. Just live your life as God wants you to live it, and you'll know in your heart if you're doing the right thing or not.
Excellent. Yep.
Yes. Um, and this is what I was telling people at 24. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I mean there were all these different faiths and everything. And I thought you need to rise above religions and just be with God, the Creator, and uh, see things the way Jesus Christ saw them, and live your life the way that you feel is the best way. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's a personal journey. Yeah.
Personal, yes.
Yep.
That's why it's this I run the spiritual journeys for people that want to explore another aspect of their uh, of a personal journey.
Mhm.
From the aspect of Jesus Christ, he was first with the Essenes, yes, in a group called the Essenes, and he
Right.
was learning stuff with the Essenes before he sort of stepped out onto the world stage and started healing people and everything. And in a way, that's what my spiritual journey does. It says, look, there is something to learn before you step out into the world stage. Yes, and you will be able to heal people, for instance. That is totally possible if you know how. Yes, if you have the
Mhm.
right connections. Um, so I've really enjoyed what you've been saying, and yesterday I watched your video with Simon Dan. I thought that was interesting. He's not a person I like to watch very much,
Never was me either.
um, but because you were there, that made all the difference. Yes, I think I've watched about 10 of his videos all in all, and that's about it. Um, and I've watched hours and hours of yours. Yes.
Mhm.
Not
Thank you.
lately because you're singing a different tune. Yes. Um, and well, that's okay. Um, because you're being yourself. Yes. And well done for being yourself and stepping out of what you thought wasn't true. Yes, because there is no way that I think you should have continued with the flat earth if you really believed in your heart that it wasn't the right thing.
Well, good. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So
Not sure everybody has the
that's
same
a big
opinion, but
thumbs up from me. Yes.
well, thank you.
Yes. And I'm sure Witsit would agree too. And I
Yeah, I think
believe you're having a friendly debate in about a month.
I believe yeah, like maybe 2 weeks. I think it's June 15th. So yeah, it'll be 2 weeks from this coming weekend.
June 15th. Wow, incredible. Um, did
Yeah, we talked about it because a lot of people are weird about that. They don't understand what we're doing, or they think that we're in some sort of cahoots or something. And no, we're just friends. We've always been friends, so we can continue to be friends. We've been friends. We just have different opinions about the shape of the earth. And then he had kind of mentioned, that some people were asking him to do a debate, and he's like, don't you think we should show people that we can have different opinions and still debate as adults? And I was like, yeah, because we can have a debate that's still both of us getting our beliefs across, evidence, backings, and then still can be friends the next day, which is something that seems to be more and more difficult for everybody else.
well, that sounds very, very good. I've got a global friend, or a couple, if you like, one who's older than me and one that's younger than me. Um, and we sort of get on okay. If we don't talk about flat Earth. Yes.
Right. Do you,
We're friends.
uh,
So that's part of our life, which we have different opinions on, but that's okay. People are allowed to have different opinions.
yes. Are you, do you feel like you're truly seeking the truth, that that's your end goal is the truth, or is your end goal to be the truth that you want it to be? Because I think that for a long time, my problem was is that I was pushing towards the belief I wanted to be correct. And I think that's what majority of flat earthers do. They think to themselves that they are actually searching for the truth, but when evidence comes up that is against what they want to be true, they refuse it. Or like what you said, you don't watch Simon Dan. Well, why not? Well, it's because I think it makes you maybe uncomfortable. The more times you hear things that might make you think that you're wrong, so it's just easier to dismiss him and not watch him, which is what I did as well. So, would you call that a? Do you think that you are seeking the truth.
definitely. And again, I can thank you for stepping away from flat Earth. It did make
Right.
me re-examine my position. Um, and well,
Yeah, but you said you don't watch me, so you're not watching some of the evidences. I mean, the big one for me, I'll just give you the one that I think should really make
well, I've
people
watched hours and
uncomfortable.
hours of you since you've come back.
Oh, okay, I thought you said you didn't watch much since I came back.
Well, not recently, but
Right.
I've been sort of
Oh, when I came back.
busy and selective about different things I could watch. But that
Right.
doesn't mean that I didn't want to watch what you were talking about. Just there were other
Gotcha.
things that I prioritized.
I mean,
Um,
would you say that on a flat Earth that the sun is always going in one direction? Would
uh,
you say that's a requirement of a flat Earth, or can you envision a flat Earth where the sun goes different directions?
well, apparently it's been known for years that in the south it goes
Hmm.
for a different it goes for in a different direction. I
Okay.
mean, there are many flat earthers who live in the south and know this. It does
Right.
go in a different direction. And I didn't realize that really until your journey.
Yeah, to
Um,
be honest, I
and
don't think I
it's,
did either.
you know, because I really wanted you to go and bring back all the data that I think Flat Earth needs. Yes.
Yes.
Um, but I'm still convinced that it's a spiritual realm, and we
Yes.
can't figure everything out that easily. I do like
Well,
Lindsay Harris,
uh-huh.
yeah, because it's a more spiritual realm with him.
Tomb
And
of Illumination, right?
yeah, Tomb of Illumination. Well,
Mhm.
yes, um, he he presents what he presents takes a lot of getting your mind around, but once you understand it, it looks pretty straightforward, and it seems to me that that's the next level for flat Earth. What he's talking about, but different people will have different opinions on that.
True.
Yeah,
True.
and
Uh,
you've got to stick with what appeals to you, and the the frequency of truth that you're looking for. Yes, because truth may have different frequencies. I don't know if you saw the the video I did with Mark Sargent, but what I asked him to do was uh, color code the flat Earth information. So you have all the different levels. So seven different levels basically. Uh, Richard of York gave battle in vain. Um, so from red to violet, and like I said to him, well, on a yellow level, what is flat Earth talking about? And he would say, well, that's an easy one. Uh, Yellow is to do with the emotions. Yes. So it's that's all the spiritual books. That's the spiritual level of flat Earth. I thought that was quite interesting. Um, Now it's been said to me uh, before now that the Bible was written for women and children, and I don't know if that's actually true, but perhaps men have a more logical look at and need to step out of it. Yes, um, that's another thing. But you did mention looking for truth. Um, now, I don't know if you've been following what Dave Weiss has been doing, but he
lying.
interviewed Shiva, what's his name?
Dr. Shiva.
Ayajure. That's his name. Shiva Ayajure. He was a candidate for the president of America in the last election, but he got trumped. Yes. Um, and he came on the show, and didn't really want to listen to Dave Weiss, didn't want to listen to anything he was saying. And he said, no, just stop, time out, time out. And he said, look, what I want you to do, Dave, is I want you to find an experiment that that you can prove the Earth is flat. Yes, and we'll do that experiment in Cambridge in June on the 13th to 14th with all my scientists. We'll look at that experiment and we'll find out any problems with it and come back a month later and resolve any more problems with it. And then in August, we should have something that we can publish and get peer reviewed if the Earth is flat. And I thought that was a wonderful way of seeking the truth, getting it
Sure.
peer reviewed and published, an experiment. Um, Unfortunately, time went by and I contacted Dave Weiss and he said, well, Shiva hasn't responded to my phone calls. His assistant hasn't responded to my texts. So it's all gone dead.
I don't trust Dave Weiss, so I would, if I were you, I'd get a hold of Shiva and make sure that that's a true statement before just assuming that Dave Weiss is telling you the truth because he's not honest about me. So I don't no longer think that he's honest in every instance. So
That's exactly what I did.
good.
I got hold of Shiva's website. I left a message for him, and his assistant got back to me. His assistant in the UK, and
Hmm.
we had a long conversation on the telephone, a good half an hour, um, about flat Earth and many other different issues. Yes, political issues, and what Shiva was trying to achieve by being president. Um, and he 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 sent me a list that of what we needed to do to start the experiment that we wanted. Yes,
Hmm.
and we he said, look, I want you to form a group. Yes, and find an experiment. Um, Prepare a paper, a concise methodology of how it will go. And if you can do all that and get that back to me, I will do my best to ensure that the experiment does get carried out. And so I said, thank you very much. And then I got on a video call with Shiva, a webinar. And unfortunately, um, I tried to bring up the subject of flat Earth, but the his moderators uh, wouldn't accept any questions about flat Earth, so that fell in the water. Um,
Hmm.
but anyway, I contacted Dave, and he said, "Well, it doesn't look as if she was going to do anything." And I said, "Well, look, if you're not going to get a group together, I'll get a group together." Yes, and so I did get a group together, and Dave got some people. Yes, and we formed a group, and we found an experiment that we that we agreed on. The people that were there, we're not representing
Hmm.
the whole flat Earth community, but in that small group and Dave Weiss, we agreed that that was a good experiment to go forward. And so I sent that to Michael, the uh, the CEO director of UK for Shiva, and I got a reply back that he'd sent that um, to Shiva and all the directors in America. And so we said, great, he's got the all the information for this experiment that we want to do and have peer reviewed in June, as Shiva promised. Yes, and so perhaps that'll be just after your meeting with Whitsit. Yes. But I can send you the papers, the documents, and the videos and everything for that experiment if you want, and you can have a look at it. Yes.
Okay.
but I really wanted to have this. It was imperative for me because my spiritual journey started off as a glober. Yes, I was saying yes, like everybody, I believe that we were living in the heliocentric world. But when I went into it, when I dived into it, I I remembered certain things in 1980. Yes, of a different cosmology, which I thought was true at the time. I thought, wow, there's a different cosmology than we're being told. And this was in the early 1980s, 1981. Yeah. And nobody said the Earth was flat, but there was something about the sun being cool and the moon being a plasma, the bubbles on the moon were craters, yeah, plasma bubbles, and all of this, and lots more, well, not a lot more, drips and dribbles of information I got in the 80s. But I was really excited to learn more about it. But that sort of all finished and went in a different direction. Yes. And so come the flat Earth, and I'm watching these videos and I'm connecting back to the 1980s. And I'm thinking, wow, this is exactly what I was thinking about in 1980. And this seems to be it. This seems to be the other cosmology that they're hiding from us. But who knows? Yeah. Um, so that's how I got into flat Earth, and it's always been a balancing act for me, because every thesis that the flat earthers put forward, um, an antithesis is put forward by the globers, and so we're not getting anywhere with this. Yes.
Right.
So I was really looking forward to the experiment that Shiva had suggested, and that's why I was pushing for it. Yes,
Mhm.
and hopefully it's on its way. Yeah, hopefully they're looking at it in Cambridge. Maybe Shiva's too busy. Maybe he won't acknowledge the fact that that's what he suggested. I don't know, but I'm open to the fact that, well, it might be done a little bit later, or it might not be done on June the 13th or 14th, like he suggested. I'm open to all possibilities. It might not even happen this year. Yes, but he's got the experiment, and he said he would do it. And whenever that happens, I think that'll be great. And I'll be sending you the
Well, thank you.
information. Yes.
I'd like to see
Um,
what you guys decided on or what you settled on.
well, don't forget, Dave Weiss said his words. Hello.
I'm here.
Oh, it's my yeah, yeah. Touch this and see what happens. Yes, we're going to run out of time in just a few moments, but
Okay.
that's okay. When it runs out, we'll call that the end, really.
Okay.
Um, but just keep going until the end.
Okay.
Yes. Um, so so yes, we've got this experiment coming. So will that settle the debate? I mean, logically, as I was saying, Dave Weiss, he said it's so simple that even I can understand it. I mean, it's complicated, yes, but it's simple enough that Dave Weiss can understand it, and simple enough that I can understand it. So I don't see why anyone um, couldn't understand it. And at this point, I need to ask you a question. Can you fly an aeroplane?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
You've never flown a Cessna. Yes.
No.
Okay. But you could carry out this experiment yourself. Um, you could hire a plane for the day, hire a pilot, and perhaps do some training, pilot training, for a day, and carry out the experiment yourself. Because
Okay.
the experiment itself involves a plane and simply landing a plane. And this experiment can be done all over the world. Yes, where there's an airport, um, especially places where there's water leading up to the runway. Yes,
Okay.
so it starts nice and flat. That's if it's a flat Earth. That's if water doesn't curve. Yes. Um, so we'll we'll be seeing more of that. I should imagine. I got a comment from Globebusters, so they're aware of what's happening um, in the Shiva world and in the Dave Weiss world, and I hope it will be decisive and people will accept um, whatever is the result and the conclusion.
Good luck on that one.
But I'm sure there's going to be some antithesis, and I'm sure there are people that say, "Well, I've done the test, and I'm being honest, and it doesn't work for me this test." Yeah. So, but I mean, the important part is these scientists um, get it peer reviewed, and then we'll
It's a good start.
we'll know where we are. At least it'll be a good starting point. Yes,
Yeah.
a good starting point because we do have other experiments that came up in the group, but they're more costly and they're longer and more difficult, if you like, to do. And this was like the simplest and the cheapest and probably the most efficient test that we could think of. So I'll be sending that to you, and
Okay.
it will definitely widen your horizons if you learn how to fly and do the experiment yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think that's ever a possibility? Learning how to fly?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think. I guess I'd have to see their experiment. I don't think it's. I'd have to see the experiment to decide
Yeah.
if that's possible.
Well, yeah. But I mean, just learning how to fly would that be a possibility?
I
Just,
mean, I don't know. It costs money to do that, so I
yeah.
would rather.
Well, it might cost um, uh, $300 a day or something like that, or a lesson or something. So yeah, it would cost money, but
Right.
get a fundraiser to do that. Yes, and much cheaper than flying all the way to Antarctica.
Yeah, but I no longer am in that group that would donate towards that. So
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Anyway, do you have any news about when the the film about
I don't.
Antarctica
know.
is going to
I
come
thought
out?
it was going to be April or May, so it might be maybe June or July.
So we can look forward to that documentary as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
should be good. John seems like he's doing a good job.
Yeah. Splendid. Mm.
Yep. So yeah. You any other questions for me?
Just let me have a quick look. Uh, ooh,
I think
yeah.
that for your listeners, if they are, wanting that truth without having to wait for Dr. Sheba, there's, in my mind, you can do an experiment by yourself, and all you need is your eyes and the sun. And we know that the sun goes one direction. If you look above a flat Earth looking down, it would be clockwise that the sun is moving. And so, if we got up in a plane and we tried to follow the sun, which way would we have to turn to follow the sun? Well, the answer should be to the right. You always have to turn to the right because that's where the sun is going. The sun's going clockwise. You're flying behind it in an airplane. You would always turn to the right. There would never be a reason to turn to the left. However, in the world that we live in, if you're, let's say that you're following a sunset and you're in the north, and I'm following the sunset and I'm in the south, and we're both flying planes, the guy in the north would have to turn to the right. The guy in the south would have to turn to the left. And so that destroys any flat earth that there'll ever be and ever has been and ever will be because there cannot be a flat Earth where the sun goes in two different directions for two people looking in the same direction. Meaning both people are looking west, that's where the sun sets, but people in the north see it go left to right, and people in the south see it go right to left. And there's only one shape that in the world that calls for that, and that is the sphere. Because by the nature of the sphere, you are actually leaning one way or the other direction, or the ball is wherever you're on the north or you're on the south. And so that gives the illusion that the sun is moving a certain direction. Of course, it's not the case, but that's the only shape that matches our observations. To believe in a flat Earth at this point means you believe in a paradox. It means that you think two people looking in the same direction, both looking west, can see the sun go in two different directions, one to the left and one to the right, and yet it's the same sun going in the same pattern above the Earth. So it's not much of a question anymore for those who are actually looking for the truth. For those that are looking for their
Well,
truth, they'll
yeah.
continue on.
Okay. Well, I'll let you argue that with Whitsitt, but we
Okay.
do have one of the experiments that was suggested might cover that more clearly, to measure the magnetic field over the tropics to see, to establish whether what we measure would conform to a globe or to a flat Earth. And that would be another experiment that was suggested by Lindsay Harris and his Tomb of Illumination. Yes, so
So, so
that's so
you
so
know that the you know
so
that the entire
so.
Earth has been mapped on a sphere, though, right? I mean, you know that.
Well, the way I understand it, the
Well, like Google Earth, I mean, Google Earth is mapped on a
yeah,
sphere, correct? It's
yeah,
all the places on it. Right.
yeah.
So, and all you need to do to disprove that is to find one place that doesn't match what the sphere calls for. The problem is you won't find that because the Earth has been mapped on a sphere and the sphere is correct. Therefore, all observations are correct. It's not even difficult. In order for the Earth to be
Well,
flat, there would
yeah.
have to be somewhere that doesn't match the sphere. That's all we have to do is find that one place that doesn't match on Google Earth, but you will never find it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's nice that you say that, but I'm of the opinion that the globe was created from measurements taken from the flat Earth and converted into a sphere. And so, of course, everything would appear the same on a sphere.
Well, not
But
observations.
that
You can't. Hold
for,
on a second.
for a
Well,
debate.
it's not a debate. It's not a debate, but you just said something false. How could something that you said we don't live on a sphere, but then it matches our observations of a sphere? That's a paradox. What you're saying is impossible. You can't. If I told you you were actually in this, in this round room, and then your observations showed you flat walls and flat corners, you would be able to come to the conclusion that I cannot be in a round room because there's corners in this
Well,
room. Therefore, it is a square. That's the same
perhaps
thing as the flat Earth.
perhaps I didn't